Hi everybody, I am on my deck today, trying to get the last few moments before the sun goes down. And I wanted to share with you the torso model because it's going to help us better understand these organs that you have to be associating with the different body systems. Okay, so I thought we would start with the top, the head. Okay, here we have a cross section of the head. All right, and in the head, you'll see here's the tongue, okay, and the oral cavity. You'll notice that the tongue kind of fills that space there. You've got the nasal cavity here, and then the cranial cavity, which houses the brain. And then you'll also notice that the vertebrae from the skull are here, along with the spinal cord. Okay, we could take this out, I think, and just kind of take a look at the organ itself. Okay, you've got the mass part of the brain, the cerebellum, the pons, the medulla oblongata, right? And we also have both of those brain glands, the pituitary and the pineal gland, okay? All right, and so that fits in here like that. And you'll notice that it, the brain fits in a space. Sorry for the noise. And spaces that organs fit into are called cavities. Okay, so this is the cranial cavity. All right. Okay, we'll continue. You can see the other half of this guy this way, right? All right, I'm going to bring him a little closer. And so from the throat region in the front, we're going to find, this is the piece of cartilage in front of the voice box. Okay, it's kind of large, kind of protective. Okay, got the jugular arteries and veins in the front of the body. If you even put your fingers here and just a little, okay, that's the voice box, and you'll find that you'll even feel like ridges here, and those are the rings on the windpipe, also known as the trachea. Okay. In front, you're going to have a couple glands that are colored. Here's the thymus, the thyroid glands a little lower. And then behind the trachea, you're going to find the esophagus. Okay, so the trachea is part of the respiratory tract, right? And behind it is the esophagus, which is part of the digestive tract, right? And the brain, nervous system, right? Okay, all right. So on this model, we can pull out these two structures, which are not symmetrical. They're not identical to each other. They are a pair, okay? And these are the lungs. And the lungs are found in the upper chest cavity, okay? Again, a cavity is a space, right? And we'll just look at one of these for a second. And you'll notice kind of like all the, this has been cut, and you see all these little discs, and those represent the ribs that have been cross-sectioned, okay? If we look at one of the lungs here, right, that's my neighbor Cameron making all that noise. We've got cross-sections here. This is the outside of what a lung looks like. And then you've got down here, I'm going to see if you guys can guess a few things. Does anybody know what this large muscle is on the underside of the lungs? Those of you who've taken show choir may know this one. What is it? The diaphragm. How many got it right? Okay. You'll also notice there are lobes in the lung where there's these little sections, okay? Each lung has 2 or 3. And then the cross section here, this stuff are cross sections of blood vessels because the organ needs to be nourished, okay? All right, so got a pair of lungs. On the underside is the diaphragm, all right? Okay, so in the middle, we're going to find the heart, right? And this heart does come apart, so you can see the inside of the heart. The inside of the heart is showing us some chambers. Okay, and the chambers in the heart account for 4. Now, you don't see all 4 really well, like there's a top one here and then a bottom one, but we are mammals, and so we have mammalian hearts. and 4 is like the best you can have. Some animals have 3 chambers, some have only 2, some have only 1 chambered heart, okay? So the more chambers you have, the more efficient you are, okay? So this is, and on the outside of the heart are blood vessels that are named according to where they are. So we call these coronary arteries and coronary veins, okay? All right. Now, the large red blood vessel here, okay, is what is it? The biggest one in the body? Anybody know? It was on your word list. Aorta. Aorta. Okay. And then this is a large one too. It goes in 2 different directions. This is the largest vein. It's called the vena cava. There's a superior and an inferior one. Okay. So the heart, part of what body system? What body system does the heart belong to? Circulatory or cardiovascular system. Okay. All right. Okay. As we look into our guy right here, you can see back here, we've got 2 things. We got a thing branching, and then we got a thing going straight. The thing branching is part of your windpipe. Remember the technical term for windpipe? It's going to be, begins with a T. Trachea, okay? And then back here is a long muscular tube that runs from the mouth to the stomach. Anybody know the name of that guy? Esophagus, okay? So in the upper cavity, it's called the thoracic cavity, you're going to find the heart and 2 lungs, okay, surrounded by a cross-section of ribs here, okay? All right, then the diaphragm, which you can see as this light blue color, okay, this light blue partition separates into the other cavity, which is known as the abdominal cavity. Again, everything has a space for it to fit in, all right? And I mentioned the largest organ in the body was the skin, and unless you're considering those only inside, so what's the next largest organ? It's the liver, okay? Some of you may even eat liver, like chicken livers or beef livers or even chicken hearts, okay? It is full of iron. Okay, I'm going to put this back. And the liver, look how big this puppy is. This is an interesting organ. It's part of what body system? Anybody know? Digestive, okay? And it's lobed, meaning it's got sections that can easily partition, okay? Like if you wanted to get if you had to get part of your liver removed, you could remove lobes of it and it'll actually grow back. It's one of the few organs that do. And the lungs have lobes as well, or deep fissures inside of it. On the underside is another structure. Anybody know what this green thing is? Related to the liver? It's a 2-word structure. It's green, and it literally is green. It's called a gallbladder. Gallbladder. You ever hear of gallstones sometimes? Gallstones are little crystals that fill in the sac, and then they try to squeeze out of this little narrow thing, and they hurt, okay? So gallbladder and liver, they're always connected together, okay? And part of the digestive system, okay, helps with filtering and detoxifying, okay? All right. Then we have this structure here. Anybody know what that one is? It's our favorite one. It's connected to the esophagus. It's a C-shaped sac. This is the stomach. The stomach. Notice how high the stomach is. Way up here. Just under your rib cage. Crazy, right? So when you say you have a stomach ache, it's probably not a stomach ache, okay? You'll notice it's a sac. A bigger model where we could open it up and you can see there's lots of folds inside of it, kind of like the brain, and that allows for expansion so you can take in more food and then it can collapse on itself. You'll also notice here these strange little, these are called sphincters, okay, and they close like that, okay, they close like that, and so you can close the sac and then it'll mix and churn the food all up, and then they'll open and allow for it to pass through. Okay, stomach, part of what system? Digestive, okay? All right, let's continue. All right, what is this crazy thing right here? There's one of them right here. Only found on one side of the body, the left side. Okay. And remember, when you talk about left and right in the human body, it is as if it's your own body. So your right and your left is how you would describe it in the body. So left side of the body. Okay. But you know what this thing is? It's multifaceted. It removes dead red blood cells. It's a blood reservoir. It is also part of the immune system. So this is an organ that is found in multiple body systems. This is called the spleen. Okay? One of it way on the back side. All right? Let's go ahead and we're going to take out this whole unit here. All right. We're going to start at the top. So behind the stomach, so the stomach kind of sits in here like this. Behind the stomach is this kind of glandular, leaf-shaped organ found in two body systems, found in the digestive and the endocrine system. Begins with the letter P, pancreas. Okay? And then we have multiple organs here as well. We've got the kind of blue colored frame here, and this is called the large intestine. And inside we have a longer, yet not as wide in diameter, the small intestine. Okay? And on the back side of this thing, they're trying to show us that there's tissue that binds all this together, and this is called mesentery. Mesentery kind of keeps the organs from sloshing around, keeps it all bound together. Okay? And you can see there's a cross section here, and that's fecal matter, right? Because this is going to be the tail end of the large intestine. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a little organ here. You see this little, it kind of looks like a little pinky comes around here. Anybody know what that is? It's part of the large intestine. Sometimes gets inflamed. Sometimes has to be removed. This is the appendix. The appendix. So the appendix will be found on the right lower side of your body, okay? And it can swell up like a balloon if it's got toxins in it, okay? All right, so pancreas, digestive system, large, small intestine, digestive system, but the pancreas can also be part of the endocrine system, okay? All right, let's take another look in here. What else is going on? All right, so we've got a pair. Sorry, I'm trying to do this. A pair of organs here, okay? And those guys that look similar to the spleen, but not. So those are going to be back wall of the abdominal cavity are going to be the kidneys, okay? And on top of the kidneys are these glands called the adrenal glands, okay? So this is an image of the aorta that splits up, okay? So the aorta goes up and down, all right? And you have one going to each leg, and because they're smaller than the aorta, but they carry oxygen-rich blood, we call them arteries, okay? And then we have the vena cava coming up here. And so you'll notice every organ is going to have red and blue blood vessels. The blue represent those that are deoxygenated and carrying waste and carbon dioxide gas, and the red will be represented with oxygen and nutrients, okay? All right, and as we go down, you can see we still have the tail end of the large intestine here, and then there's this structure right here. Now, it's not the uterus, so let's get rid of that idea. What is this? Because this is a unisex guy. It's part of the same system that the kidneys are going to be a part of. This is the storage organ for urine, so we call it the urinary bladder, and this expands as well. So it's got lots of muscles in it. All right, so the kidneys lead to the ureters, and then they go to the bladder, and then the bladder has a short tube if it's a female called the urethra. It's a little longer if it's a male, okay? All right, and we will oftentimes call this area that's really low that will house the reproductive structures, the pelvic region. So you have the chest or thoracic region, the abdominal region, and then the pelvic region, okay? All right. do a quick review here. Okay? We've got the brain housed in the cranial cavity. Okay? We've got a pair of these guys, which are going to be lungs, part of the respiratory system, along with the trachea. We've got the beating of the heart, part of the cardiovascular system or the circulatory system. We've got the liver and gallbladder, both part of the digestive system. We've got the stomach, a C-shaped sac that pulverizes your food, digestive system. Okay, and then we also had the pancreas, large intestine, small intestine, appendix, mesentery, which binds all this stuff together. Okay? All right. Hey, we did good. Awesome job. All right. You need to know those. All right. Let's get familiar with them. All right. Good job.